In today's episode, you're going to create your very own desktop weather application, all with Python and using the frameworks of PyQt as well as the OpenWeather API. And I'm going to guide you through how to create this app all in, 15, 16 minutes. I don't actually know. I'll put right here. This is how long it's going to take you to create your very own desktop weather application in Python. If you're ready, I'm ready. But let's check with Champ. Champ, are you ready, buddy?
Yeah, you're always ready, dude. Good boy.
All right, let's go. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of, you guessed it, Code with Josh. I'm Josh, and I'm stoked to have you guys here. Before I dive into today's episode, you can get my handcrafted Python and Git starter pack absolutely free. It's the first link in the description. If you're new to Python and ready to get going, it's the guide that I made for you that I give to all my students on their first day of class. Head on down to the link in the description and pick up your copy that you can use in your Python journey. Alright, let's head over into VS Code. Guys, I've put timestamps here so you can go where you want to go. Does that make sense? Alright, and I'm going to put the app that we're trying to make right here, alright, over to VS Code. Alright, the first thing we need to do is get all of our imports going. So from PyQt 5, I'm going to go to Qt widgets, and we're going to import some widgets. Now the two most important ones we must have are Q application and Q widget. Without those, I can't build an app. And I'm going to put a few other ones here. In this app, I'm going to use Q line edit. I'm going to use Q push button to create that push button to search, create a Q label, and that's all of our text. Real quick, guys, do us a favor and head on down and hit the like button and smash that subscribe button. If you liked today's video or you learned absolutely anything, right, dude? We'd really appreciate it, as it helps me reach more students around the world. And guys, I've noticed only about 18% of you are subscribed. It would be awesome if by Christmas we could get those numbers up, like 25. Come on, help our community grow and head on down and subscribe. And then lastly, our design is going to be a column or QV box. V means vertical. Now I'm going to create my class. This is going to be my home application. My application needs to be a Q widget, and that's a class that we imported from PyQt, and I'm going to inherit that and use that to create my windowed application. All right, going in here, let's initialize it. So my constructor, using init, that's our Python constructor, and I'm just going to activate my superclass using the super function within it. And now that I have my superclass activated, I'm ready to go. To get started, I'm going to create the methods that I'm going to be using here in my project, but I'm just going to put pass for now. I'm going to create the settings. I'm going to have the UI of our app. I am then going to have a method for when I click the search button, so I'll call that search click. And then lastly, I need one to actually get the accurate weather. For now, let's just pass that as well. Going down here, let's run our main block. So if the name of our file is our main Python file, I'm going to create my app, giving it an empty list as an argument. I'm going to create my main window from the class that I created called home. Let's take the main window and I want to show it, and then I want our app to execute or run. As a quick test, run your app. There you have it. All right, we're ready to go. Drop me a comment below, guys. Do you like these PyQt tutorials? What do you guys want to see more of? Let me know in the comments. All right, back to it. I'm going to begin with the settings of my app. So I'd like to give my app a title, specifically the window. Let's call this weather dash. That's the app name. Then I would like to set the geometry of my app. So where would I like it to appear? I'd like it to appear at the X and Y of 250, and then I would like the width of my screen to be 500 and the height to be 300. Now I can go up here to init, and any method that we create, I just want to call it here. That way, outside here, as soon as I create an object, I am actually going to run the application. Right? So as soon as I run it, I'm calling all those methods that we create that I'm calling inside init, our constructor. Okay, inside init UI, here's where all of our design takes place. Now I want to create the objects, then I want to add those objects to a design.
So what objects do I want to create? Well, I would like to have a title. This is going to be text, which is QLabel in PyQt. I'd like to have an input box that I can type the name of a location, and to do that, that's our QLineEdit tool. I would like to have an output field. So where is the current weather going to display? That'll just be text. And then I need to have a submit button to submit when I'm ready to search for the weather. What do I want the button to say? Well, the button, I'd like it to say search. The output label can say weather information for now. It'll be changed later. The input box, well, I'm going to take the input box and I'm actually going to apply the method set placeholder text. This is going to provide a hint to the user. It's like you see on Google, like type here or search here, same thing. So I'm going to say enter a location, ... The title of my app is going to be weather dash, just like that. All right, now I have 4 objects here. All I want to do is create a layout, a column, and I want to drop these items in my column. I like to call my design master QV box. So my master is going to be a QV box. Now I can take my master layout and I can use the PyQt method add widget. What do I want to add to the screen? Well, the first thing I want to be is my title. Okay, cool. Next up, I can take my master layout and we can add, what's the next thing we want to see? Well, the next thing I want to see is my input box. Let me add the other ones.
Guys, what do you think of the theme that I'm using here on VS Code? It's called Synthwave 84. I love it, but I've heard otherwise from other people. Is it hard to read? What themes are you guys using? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think of my theme, Synthwave 84.
All right, now that I have all the objects added to my layout, I'm going to take myself, which is my Q widget, and I would like to set the final layout to become my master layout. Up here inside init, let's just call our init method that we just made, init UI, run the code, and you can see our app is ready to go. Now, it doesn't look good. No, styling comes at the end. Let's do the functionality right now, okay?
Now I'm going to take you guys over to Google because I need to get you your API that we can pull into our project.
Now that I'm here on Google, I'm just going to type in OpenWeather API, anything with that, okay? Up here, it's going to say Weather API. I'm going to click into that. And you can see I am here on the OpenWeather API page, okay? The one that I'm going to be specifically working with is the current weather data. If you click the API docs here, it's going to have all the documentation. And if you guys want to read through that, it helps explain and break down how the actual URL works and how we're going to insert information into that URL and give it back to OpenWeather. To create an API, just go up here to your profile and click Add API Key. My API keys. Now I'm going to blur these out so you can't see them, right? But you can generate a new API and give it a name right here. And then you want to copy the key that's provided. Now this key I'm going to store in a separate Python file. Okay, now that you have a key, I'm going to jump right back into VS Code and let's implement our logic. And I'm going to show you how you can use OpenWeather in our projects. Now here in VS Code, you can see that I created another file called API Key. Inside here, I created a variable and I pasted that key that we just got as the value. Okay, I'm not going to show you my key, and you shouldn't share that key with other people, right? I don't really care about it, but I don't want people spamming it. So here in my main project, I'm just going to import that file. So I'm going to say from API key, which is what we just made, I would like to import, and I named it my key. Now I can use my key as the API key. Let's go down to our getWeather method. Now here's where we're going to apply the logic to this method. And this will enable us to get the live weather. So getWeather, for this API to work, it's going to take 3 parameters. I'm going to give it my API key, a city, and then a possible country, if we have one. Okay, so I'm going to say here like API key, city, and country. Most of the time, country is just going to be an empty string because I just want to type in a city and I want to return the weather. All right, now I have my 3 parameters. Let's use them. The first thing we need to do is get a base URL from OpenWeather. Here's the starting URL that they provide. So it's the starting point of it. Now I'm gonna create one called like params. So here's all my parameters, and this I'm gonna link on to the end of my base URL. So what do I wanna link into the entire part? Well, my API key is needed, and then the city is also needed. I'm just gonna paste that in there as an F string. Now that I have the base URL and the parameters, I'm gonna try to do some stuff. What do I wanna try and do? Well, I wanna try and create a response. I need to import requests in order to make this. So import requests. Going down, I can take my requests and I would like to get something. What do I want to get? Well, I'm gonna give it my base URL and I'm gonna say params is equal to params. From my response, I'm gonna create data, and this data is actually gonna be JSON, so I'm gonna call my JSON method here. All right, and so all of our data, it's returned to us as a JSON file, which if you're unfamiliar with JSON, it's basically like a Python dictionary, all right? And so I can work with it in the same manner. Now that I have my live data, if you wanted to, you could print off the data, but there's really no need. If my response I get, if the status code is 200, and this really means that it's working, all right? Then I want to get all my data. So all the data I'm going to get, I'm going to paste in here. Since we can work with JSON data the same way that we can work with dictionaries, you can see here that I'm getting all this data. Okay, I'm creating a variable, and the value of this variable is the value of something within that JSON file. And so the name of the city, the country, the temperature, the current weather and the description, the humidity percentage, the wind speed. All right, I'm pulling all that because I want to see that current weather. All right, now one thing to note actually is OpenWeather returns the temperature in Kelvin. Just naturally. That's weird. I don't know why. You need to convert Kelvin to Celsius if you want to see the current temperature, or Fahrenheit, wherever you're at. All right, so you can see here I'm doing that. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to display the weather info as a string. And so as one long string, all right, here is how my weather is going to be output. It's going to go through all this in that order, and it just looks nice and presentable. The last thing I can do is I can return my weather info. Okay, I can return all that to use that on the outside. Let's just go out here and I'm gonna say else. All right, let's return something different. I'll return an error, and then to my exception, I need to create an except, so exception as E. Let's return the exact exception. All right, there we have it. So if I go back, this entire method is actually doing the API call for us. This is really all we needed to know. It's that outside logic, right? That's why, guys, if you understand PyQt, that's why I love PyQt, because you can take your idea, use your knowledge of PyQt, and just add things and expand to it, implement your MVP logic, right? So, as a part of my series, I'm going to link the video here from last week, right? I'm going to create a mini series surrounding PyQt for you guys. Check it out right here. All right, back to the code. The next thing I want to do is I want to create my event. So inside my search click method. Now, what do I want to happen? Well, I need to get results. So I'm going to create a new property. Okay, and really this is the results of my method that we just programmed getWeather. So when I call this method search click, it's gonna call getWeather and it's gonna return my weather info that I can display. What do I need to pass inside here? Well, my API key, but because I'm working in the class, let me go up here inside init and I'm gonna create one. I'm gonna say self API key is equal to my key, just like that. Okay, now going back down to the method, I can then say self.APIKey. That's what I just imported there, or created the property for. Now I want to get what I typed into the input field. So let me get the input box. And to do that, I can use the PyQt text method. Whatever I type in to search for, that'll be passed in as the argument as my city. Then let's take our output field, and I would like to set the text of the output field to be whatever this returns. That's it. There we have it. Let's go up and try it. Going up to the top, I'm just going to now connect my button. So I'm going to say self submit. That's the name of my button. When this is clicked, I would like to connect to my search click method. All right, drum roll please, guys. Run your code. All right, I'm going to start off here. I'll say Berlin, click search. API call, that's the current weather in Berlin. That's crazy. All right, I'll do one in America. Let's say New York. Search. You tell me, is that the current weather? Today is the 29th, I guess the 29th right? What's the current weather in New York on November 29th? Right, it's negative 1.5 Celsius. That is awesome, guys. All right, now that we have a working API weather application, let's add some styling to it. It looks ugly. What can we do as developers? All right, the quick way for fonts is I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna import two more things. I'm gonna say from the PyQt module, they have something Qt core. I'm gonna import Qt for the styling of the font. From PyQt5, excuse me, that's the alignment of the font. I'm going to say Qt GUI import Q font. This is the styling of the font. The first one is the alignment. Going down here, my title, I would like to give it the alignment of the middle of the screen. So I'll say Qt, that's what I just imported, align center. Done. Then remember that PyQt, you can use CSS or Cascade Styling Sheet, and you can bring that into Python, which is amazing. So if you know how CSS works, I'm going to use that here. If you're unfamiliar with it, you can do a little research. W3 Schools is great, okay? Now over here, I'm using a PyQt method called setStyleSheet applied inside my initUI method. And you can see here, I'm actually targeting all the classes. So all the Q label is going to take on this styling. The push button is going to take on all of this styling that I've added. Just by implementing this, it's already looking way better. If I run the app, look at that. That looks way better. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit more for us, especially the title here. Okay, going up to our title, after I make the title, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take the title and I'm going to use the method setFont. I'm going to use that class QFont that we just imported. Now, what family of font do I want to use? Well, for this one, I'm going to use one called Myanmar, MN, and then I'm going to give it a font size of, let's say, 50. Run the code. That was really the final touch of my app. There you have it. Look at that title. It looks so much better, guys. All right, type a city. Paris. Search. Look at that. Live weather. Head out here. Honolulu. What's the weather in Hawaii? Look at that. 24 degrees, clear skies, 85% humidity. Well done, guys. That is your working weather API app. Congratulations, guys. That's your second app with me here on Code with Josh. In last week's episode, I introduced to you guys how you can make a translator app in Python. If you haven't checked it out, head over to the channel and check it out now. But today, you now have a completed weather desktop application in Python. Congratulations. Remember, guys, you can get my handcrafted Python and Git starter pack. It's the first link in the description below. And if you want things broken down to your level and taken through PyQt, I love it. That's why I made a full-blown course all about PyQt. It's the link in the description. You can head on down there and check out the courses that I have available to you. And one of those courses is my PyQt course. Well, until next time, guys, remember, hit that like button and subscribe, as that really helps me as a small channel grow and reach more students around the world. You have no idea. Head on down there and smash the subscribe button, all right, if you enjoyed this. And comment below and let me know what you thought of today's episode and what you guys want to see more of going forward. Until next time, thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Code with Josh. Until next time, crew.